The time. All right. Woo! It is Tuesday.
Yes, at the Connected Corner.
At the corner. Men didn't make it. That's how we feel. It is a election day. It is a crazy, weird, energy-filled, charged Tuesday in these here United States of America.
Can y'all feel it in the air?
Can you feel it in the air? I'm your girl, Tori Rose, and I'm with
Kiana B. Jones.
And we are the Connected Corner. And guys, we have two amazing brothers tonight who are going to talk to you about just a little bit of everything about politics, this election. We want to hear from you. We're going to be dropping the number throughout the show. Make sure you call in, dial in, or drop your comment here. I also hear we're on YouTube. Is that true?
Yes, we are.
What?
Yes.
How can they find us on YouTube?
On YouTube, and make sure you subscribe. So every Tuesday,
8 p.m. And for whatever reason, if we are out slaying demons and dragging devils, you can catch us on the replay. Still Tuesdays, 8 p.m. And we are always here at Nick of Time Entertainment. And so we are just excited about this topic. It's been a long time coming.
Yes,
as you guys may remember, City Council District 7 in the primary. The primary was extended because of the COVID pandemic. We thought we were going to the polls in April. We didn't go to the polls until June. I mean,
it's been a long election year.
It's been a long time.
When you tell somebody you're pregnant the first day,
and
they look like you're pregnant for 12 months.
I hate it. I literally found out I was pregnant with Joshua on week 7. And why did I find out so early? I was pregnant for 47 and a half weeks. And that's exactly how this election has felt. And so we do have some questions queued up for our guests, to a couple of different things and people before we get in the topic tonight. So one shout out I want to give out is always in the Park Heights corridor, the 21215, 21216, to China Mike, that's Michael Foy, and to Sean Stinnett. Those guys are doing big things. Also to Valerie Matthews with Catherine's Youth Family Services. Shout out to them for holding it down throughout this pandemic time. We are just so excited to be connected to people who are moving and shaking.
Yes, absolutely.
Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
No.
We always do that.
Oh my goodness. No, I can't really think of anyone right now. I want to shout out us.
Give a shout out to us. I appreciate that.
I mean, but honestly, I want to shout out the 7th District COVID response team.
Yeah.
And so thank you to everyone who participated in that. We in March when there was, a gap in the resources and the manpower to really get out and help the community. And so although the COVID helpline itself has been suspended, we still have the 7th District Baltimore Response Team Facebook group. So make sure you guys join that. We will continue to post resources and things in the community throughout that Facebook group. And so we just want to thank all the community leaders that partnered with us. 7 months that we ran that COVID response team.
And I love how professional you are. Some boys just now, if you guys only saw the faces. So we're educators. We both were teaching. We had felt that something was happening, and we often, watch the news and keep connected and all of that with what's happening in, in our local world across the world. And so we saw what was happening in China and, different parts of Europe, and we were considering what's going to happen here. I worked for the federal government when Ebola actually came to America this most last time, and I say that like Ebola caught a cab and got here, but for those of us who knew when the Ebola quote unquote crisis was happening, because of being in the federal government or being in that part of the CDC, it was like, woo, because there was only 2 cases, but 2 cases of Ebola catastrophe for our country. Anyway, flash forward, March of 2020, Kiana and I are teaching, but we're also running a campaign. And one of our guests today was actually working in our campaign. And then one of us was actually running for office, right? But I said to my team, we need to create something and we need to stand in the gap. And Kiana said, okay, cool. Like a flyer, something bigger. She's like, oh, like a video? No, like something bigger. She's like, what are you thinking? And so I pulled the whole team together and said, hey, neighbors in our district, right? And we don't see adequate food, adequate medical response, adequate, just a community.
We weren't ready.
No one was ready. Baltimore wasn't ready. Maryland wasn't ready. And so we built a 887 number that had the capacity to provide support to all 30,000 neighbors in less than a week. Let's say 10 days.
10 days.
I'll give us grace. I'll say 10 days.
It
was a lot during that time.
It was 10 days.
And what that meant was
like once you have to labor, you don't quite remember how it felt. You just know it hurt.
Yeah, it was like, wait a minute. So I made my announcement, dropped the ball. Come on, guys, we can do this. And then everybody was like, how many communities is it in District 7? Right. She wants a representative from community. She wants us to be answering calls. She wants, thank you guys. And so one of the most important things it is in a team is to have people who trust your leadership. And so I just thank you. That was our warm up. I wanted to make sure so I'm having a whole conversation behind Kiana's head. It's so cute. I love when you're not in the loop. And so that was the warm up. But so thank you to all of the community leaders who stood in the gap, from Reservoir Hill to Hilton, from Hilton to Hampden, and Hampden to Mondawmin, and Mondawmin to Sandtown. Yeah. We had people learning how to use technology and answering calls that don't even normally answer their phone. Yeah. And so, and within the first month, I know we fed over 400 people. I mean, it was amazing. But then we had to take an assessment and say, COVID is even affecting. Yeah. We had people online giving out resources and things who were then becoming affected. And then their family members and things catching the virus. And so that even shifted how we had to look at it.
No, feeling it now. I know, the tension, just nationwide, just how everybody is feeling, just kind of on pins and needles and just waiting to hear, as if we have not already gone through enough this year. Right. Now it's time to dump Trump. Yeah, dump Trump and, move forward. And so that's what we're going to talk to y'all about today.
All right, cool. Well, we ready. You ready?
Yeah. You ready?
You got your knife and your fork?
She ready.
She ready. I'm so excited.
I'm excited.
Oh, that's so funny. It's nice to be in the studio. So before we introduce our guests, we also want to just give out a quick reminder. Listen, guys, you can always follow us on social media at Beehive Connected Group or the Connected Corner. You can go to YouTube, go to search and hit the Connected Corner. You can check out the amazing topics, the amazing guests, and we want you to get connected to them as well. Yeah. And you can dial in. Somebody give me the number because I can't even front like I know it. Do we know the number?
Do we know the number?
Somebody. Okay, well, listen. Call my cell phone. At this point, if you got the number, call in. I answer.
Comment. We can see your comments. We'll read your comments. Like folk in Florida, Ohio, our Atlanta family, Georgia. We need y'all to talk to us because we
counting.
We are counting on you. Real happy.
With cousins, some of our cousins in Tyler, Texas. So I ain't gonna put their names out for the safety, right? Right. In case you gotta fly them home.
I said that was the nickname.
Right. And so we also don't want to take for granted in some of these highly red states, Black and brown people may not safe.
Yeah.
And so we do want to just give our empathy, and understand. 1,600 miles from Maryland. I will fight, but I gotta get there first, right?
Tonight. And so we are definitely going to be talking about politics informed, and we're going to give you out.
And he did tell us, I know we were having some technical difficulties. I see an X and a is working. So while we are working, Aaron, make sure you have the news that bring your attention to abcnews.go.com. Aaron, you're welcome to jump in there with go.com. They are coming with live Election Day 2020 updates and results. And guys, just understand, like, everybody's streaming, everybody's live. Difficulties may come, but we ain't going nowhere. This our corner.
Yes,
this our corner. And so I want to give you one of these. Let me see if I can find. It was a very interesting. Oh, this is what it was. Since we were talking about COVID, right? And I've been sick. Who have been infected with COVID. And I will say infected. I don't say who caught COVID. I say infected because the VID is virus and infectious disease. Mm-hmm. And I realized that it was labeled, it's been named that to give it some wiggle room to grow, mm-hmm. right? So let's just be honest when it comes to these diseases. Well, President Donald Trump, your president, not our, 400 people to the White House for an indoor watch party. Wow. And for President Joe Biden is expected to address the nation from somewhere safe in Wilmington, Delaware. And so if you have a feeling about that, we know he just tested positive.
Yes, he did.
He was healed quicker than a bag of popcorn. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about it? Would you have gone?
Absolutely not. I would not have gone. I'm not even. I don't as a leader of the free world and as somebody that has the title of president, I just think that he acts immaturely, and he's reckless. I mean, it's definitely reckless behavior. It's no different to me than somebody who know they have, mm-hmm. or even back in the, if you had HIV and you had unprotected, like. To me, like I can't even understand.
Charge the president with infecting and exposing.
He should be charged. He should be charged for reckless endangerment.
I'm here for all of it. I just want him to be charged with
because he should know better. Like, period. He should definitely know better. And so I'm just, I just want him gone. Yeah. And I just think that he's just not a good leader. Regardless how people feel about his business acumen and all of that stuff, he's not a good leader. And he hasn't always done great in business either. And so, we not bankruptcies and everything else he's filed. But, let's understanding that, understanding that, at this point, like, he just needs to go. And so we know that, we're going to keep things going, updates on the election and things of that nature. But we know that he definitely has to have, Ohio, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and Arizona to win. All 5 of those states in order to win. And so those that are in those, it's like, we need you, we counting on you. And just tell us how you feel. How do you think things are going to go? How are you feeling right now? Mm-hmm. Have you on the things that you need? Because
that's good.
Right now I think people just are tense because we don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And so hopefully people, your faith is built up, your strength is built up, your joy, your happiness, all of that is built up. And then you need to go stock up on some of those perishable and important things that you need just to be prepared for whatever.
So I have an update. So 8:15 p.m. tonight, Biden takes 4 states in D.C. Trump takes Oklahoma. To win Delaware, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and the District of Columbia. And Trump is projected to win Oklahoma. I don't personally know anybody in Oklahoma.
Not really.
No, not a soul.
Nobody I know that.
So the 6 people who were there voted for him. Aaron.
Yes, I'm here.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, Ken. Welcome.
Hey, well, look, it's good to be here, and it's good to be able to join you guys as we talk about, what I believe is going to be a historic election.
Awesome. We know there's a little minor delay, so we're going to speak and then shut up. You're going to actually witness history tonight. We're going to talk and then be quiet and let you talk. So we're going to jump right in. I'm going to actually hand Kiana the first question to ask you, and then we're going to come back to introducing who you are.
Okay. So people sometimes say if you don't vote, you have no right to complain about a government. What do you think about that?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think voteless people is a hopeless people. And if you don't exercise your right to vote, then, you don't have a right to complain. Here in the state of Mississippi was where I am now, and is ground zero for voter rights. Medgar Evers, was shot and assassinated right here in his front yard, trying to help make sure that we can get people to vote. One of the main reasons why we vote Democrat as far as African American is because of Fannie Lou Hamer, who said, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired." The Mississippi Democratic Freedom Party, who invaded and infiltrated the Democratic National Democratic Convention of '68, and so I think it's important that everybody not only begins to understand the history, but then to understand going forward how important it is to vote.
Awesome. So listen, I didn't want to tell the people who you was, but since you talk about Mississippi,
right?
Crooked letter I.
Humpback, yeah.
Humpback.
Mississippi. Crooked letter I. Crooked letter.
It's two crooked letters. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
you just wanted me to.
MISSISS. The council president, the Jackson, Mississippi City Council. Is that correct?
That is correct. Small stuff.
Boom. African American. It looked good on you.
Hey. Oh, I didn't hear what you were saying. You talking about my hair?
Oh, wow.
No. We're just laughing at the delay. So we've had this show over a year. Yeah. We've had this election night. We would have such technical airway delays. I almost feel like I'm about to preach. He the prince of the air. But anyway.
Yeah, he tried
Aaron, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Did you vote in the last election, and are you going to vote in this one?
Yes, I did vote in the previous election. I've been voting ever since I was 18. I haven't missed an election. And yes, I did proudly vote in this one today.
Wow. 18. So just 3, 4 years ago?
Huh?
That's hilarious. He said,
Oh, about 4 or 5. Oh, all right, Key, go ahead. Read your question.
all right, so I have a question, and then after this question, after you answer it, tell us a little more about what you do politically.
Okay.
So, it's often said that elections are lost, never won. Do you agree? Can you think of any examples in recent history? So I'll read it again. It's often said that one. Do you agree? And can you think of any examples in recent history?
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I got the question due to the delays, and y'all can nod your head or type in the comments to make sure. But I believe the question was: it's often said that elections are won and never lost. Is that what the question was?
The opposite. Our lost, never won.
Or lost and never won? No, I'll give a recent example if I think I'm tracking this question right. Stacey Abrams, uh, uh, she lost the race in Georgia, but she actually won. I think what we see going on in Georgia right now is a testament to a lot of the organization and a lot of the things that happened when she lost her bid for governor. And I think we all saw the suppression of voter and the purging of the voter rolls in Georgia. Right now, it's only 19% reporting. The Atlanta metro area hadn't come in yet, and we're talking about a race that's just 115,000 in the state of Georgia. And so I think that we have to understand that although somebody might see it as a loss, there are some things that happen within the loss that speaks to victory that could be time specific. I know a wonderful candidate in the Baltimore area. People say she lost, but I say that was a win because of what she's doing right now, and her name happens to be Tory Rose.
Amen. Amen. But you were monumental, bittersweet because all of the votes were not counted in the primary election. In Mississippi, being on the council, but being extremely to reach out of your state and help others.
Yeah, I think you'll finish asking. I'll make the statement, but if I can, I'll just go on a comment and just say, uh, I thought it was very important uh, being in the position that I'm in, with the National Black Caucus of local elected officials as regional director, to be able to find up and coming leaders. Municipalities are the grassroots, to what happens as far as Black America is concerned. The National Black Caucus of local elected officials is the oldest constituency group. It's older than the Congressional Black Caucus, which my good friend Congressman Thompson is a part of. But however, when you look at municipalities and on the local level, that's where the rubber meets the road. And so I think it's very important that we identify, even if I'm Mississippi, reaching out, to Baltimore, whether it's helping with the council race that's going on right now tonight in Sacramento, California. We do what we can to help make sure that we position people around this country to help lead us in the right direction. And so it was a pleasure and an opportunity to do that. It's Ohio. Just looking at the updated, um, just looking at the updated Associate Press. Actually, Joe Biden is ahead, 85-61. MSNBC and CNN just haven't called it yet, but they all get everything from the Associated Press. So officially, um, Donald Trump has won South Carolina, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Donald Trump has won those. And Joe Biden has won Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maine, Vermont, and Illinois has been called now. Well, that's 20 electoral votes. So that's why he has 85. Donald Trump has 61. Florida's still too close to call, 88% reporting. Georgia's still close to call, 19%. Texas is now leading Democrat. Joe Biden's up 2 points. And so I was providing the updated, like there's some technical difficulties. All right. The Mayor Jackson is up now at the SB rally.
everybody. Sorry for the delay. We had, and our guest tonight is Mr. Banks. And so we are having our discussion about the election, how everybody is feeling. So come back, comment, share. We can see your comments, we'll respond, we can read them. We want to know how everybody's feeling about the election. You can comment any updates that you have. We'll be giving some updates throughout. Welcome back to the Connected Corner. And we have our guest, Mr. Aaron Banks, back. So we were in the middle of a question.
We were. Aaron, can you hear us? I just want to make sure that you can hear us. We can hear you.
I can hear y'all. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I guess there's a delay. I just want to make sure that y'all can hear me. Okay.
Awesome. So, Aaron, tell us a little more about what you do in the Mississippi Council.
Yeah, I am president of the Jackson City Council. Of course, the city council here in the state of Mississippi, being that we are the capital city, we have a mayor council form of government. And as president, I run the meetings and make sure that, government works for the people. Also, I am glad to be a member of the Mississippi Black Caucus of local elected officials with all of its history. And I serve as first vice president for it. And on the national level for the National Black Caucus of local elected officials, I am the regional director. And God has blessed me in a short period of time to be able to have the influence necessary, to be able to make sure not only am I changing things for my city, but networking around the country to help make sure that we can, bring change.
Awesome. How have these 4 years been administration? Has it helped or hurt Jackson, Mississippi?
No, it has hurt us tremendously. One of the first things that the Trump administration did when they came in was to cut a lot of your HUD funding. And from that HUD funding, where there is an appropriation for cities or municipalities known as CDBG, which are community development block grants, and that was cut almost in half. And so, with urban cities, Baltimore's an urban city, Atlanta's an urban city. With urban cities, that money is very necessary when it comes to things that help benefit the quality of life. Especially when it comes to dealing with those who are mentally ill, when it comes to addressing transitioning those that may be coming out of one of the 3 or 4 systems that affect us. And so it's important that we empower community groups to continue not only to have the voice, but to have the resources necessary, to help our disproportionate community.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I know that, here in Baltimore, being an urban city, we have definitely felt it. I think in the last at least 2 years or so, the crime, though all of those things that's been happening to us here in Baltimore, and specifically, of course, as you know, being on the campaign, helping us with the campaign, District 7 bears a big brunt of that when it's to Baltimore City. And of course, it's no secret, we also have a Republican governor who, to me, doesn't really care much about our city or Baltimore in itself. And so, again, it's so important. I know we have done a lot. There's a lot of grassroots organizations around. Everywhere I go, everything I watched, from BET Awards to every show to every commercial, it has meant so much, even more so than in past elections, that people get out and exercise their right to vote. And from some of the numbers that we've seen so far and some of the polls, that Biden has even led getting higher votes than even what Hillary Clinton got. And so we are the fact that people are exercising their right to vote, that young people are exercising their family text discussion, amongst some, those in families who are politically inclined and woke. And some of it was like, well, what's so important about this election, right? So people are feeling like you should always vote. You should have always exercised, but what's so important about this one? And, another family member responded, it's life or death. I think what people are feeling and how people are feeling, like you are literally feeling like taking a deep breath, like, like almost we can't breathe. It's like you're holding your breath because you feel like we cannot endure another 4 years of this leadership. And it is definitely life or death, and experience a lot of death in 20. Every single day, we're getting notice. And so it is literally a matter of life and death. And so we're going to pray for our nation, pray for your cities, all of that, because we need it. We definitely need it.
That's right. So guys, you can call us in at 443-687-7707. Be sure to follow us on YouTube at Corner. Aaron, how different would life have been if Al Gore had been elected? When we talk about what elections really mean and the trajectory of the country, take us back a little bit. What's your opinion? If Al Gore had won, what would?
Yeah, if Al Gore would have won, we would have, probably not have gotten caught up in the wars the way we did. If you remember, 9/11 happened in Bush's first term, and that war was taken strictly to Afghanistan. But then we ended up expanding the scope of that war into Iraq, which was not necessary, which began to cause our economy to tank because of the amount of money that we were spending. I think that we would have spent a whole lot more money as far as in appropriations to our climate and climate control. A lot of the things that California is going through, a lot of things that's going on as far as our climate and how it is affecting us, even in the South with the amount of hurricanes that we had this year. I think that trajectory would have been a whole lot different. We know Gore's one of his focus points was actually dealing and addressing with climate control. I think we would have seen more happen when it came to resources and communities within our urban cities. I think that we would have been leading more on the front end when it came to addressing the mentally ill. One of the things that I would say to Bush's credit was that, that was the first time where we began to hear about funding of faith-based initiatives. And we saw that nuance being introduced. But at the same time, I think we would have had more money to invest within the home front to help us begin to address some of the problems that are plaguing us now, specifically climate control. We would have been able to do, but Bush being president, I think he had a big axe to grind, which was his dad's war in Iraq. And I think if Gore had been there, we would have went in a different route.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I bring that up because that's often the contrast that I use before. Then I explain to people that elections are truly about pumping opinions. And so if Gore had won, we may not have had a Barack Obama. Not having Barack Obama very well means that we may not have had Donald Trump, because elections are often swayed by a contrasting group or contrasting opinions. And so when people say, well, how did we even get to this place? Well, we could have had Gore and his focus on climate change. We could have had Hillary Clinton, a woman in office during the time of a pandemic. Mm-hmm. I would have been mothered during the time of this pandemic. But, I just normally use that as a contrast. what is the worst that could happen, in your opinion, if Trump is reelected? What is then the contrast?
Well, look, first of all, just chiming into the conversation you just had, I think that we had to have a Trump to expose that America still has a lot of demons that it has not yet been delivered from, specifically when we talk about race, because we have seen the rise of more hate groups than ever before in our nation. I think if we go into another 4 years of Trump, that we will see the nation's weakening when it comes to who we are nationally. We will see our GDP begin to really begin to go down. I think one of the reasons why Trump can tout and talk about GDP is because the total effect of what he's done, we haven't seen it yet, and we're going to be seeing that within the next year or two. I think that when it comes to our allies around the world, our position is going to be weakened. I think that nations like Russia and Iran and China are going to be strengthened, and we could begin to see a decline even more so economically with the value of the dollar around the globe. I think also that we're going to have a major problem when it comes to addressing real criminal justice reform, especially when it comes to what's been going on. Breonna Taylor. I mean, we could go on and on. We could say the names, right? Because I don't think that a Department of Justice under this president is going to be serious about addressing none of these things. And then I think you're going to continue to see the stacking of a court. The Supreme Court will no longer be a balance that speaks with a voice of reason as far as deciding these cases that come before them. you know. But we're going to see a court that is going to be very biased and opinionated, and not ruled based on precedent, which I think is very important. I was listening to Justice Kavanaugh today in a Supreme Court that they were hearing before Mississippi about a juvenile who was 14-year-old that's receiving a life sentence and they had no grace or no understanding whatsoever. Mostly because this guy was an African American, and so those are some things that I think, and I can talk about this all night, Tori, Kiana. Those are some of the things I think that are bad for the country.
Yeah,
I missed hearing him say Torikiana as if it was one word, Torikiana.
So with that, let's do one of our questions. Should citizens be made to take some form of intelligence or general knowledge tests?
Was that the whole question? Should citizens be?
That's concerning voting.
Made? Concerning voting.
Concerning voting, should citizens be made to take some form of intelligence or knowledge test? I mean, what about those who run for office need to take some form of intelligence or knowledge test? So citizens.
I don't know about.
And let's add in elected officials.
Okay, elected officials, yeah, I think so. Citizens, I don't think you can, have a test. I mean, however, I understand the question. I mean, if we go back in the infancy of America, after the Revolutionary War, students at the age of 11 and 12 remembered the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution by heart. They knew that stuff by heart. And so, I was maybe around 16 when I could recite half of it. Right. And so, I think there is a need for, making sure that voters are more informed, but there's definitely a need to make sure that we just don't have any old body running for office. One of the things I witnessed in Baltimore, is to begin to see someone who had the heart of the community, someone who was like an inside of the belt type of person that understood, but then all these other folks that just wanted to jump in the race because they were looking for opportunity. Somebody should have gave them a litmus test. I gave them some type of test to see, you know, what their intention or their ambition truly was. And that is the sad reality when it comes to our local elections, especially in our African American communities, because you have a lot of people that are opportunities. A good race is between somebody who's truly for the community, truly for the people, and someone who's inside the beltway who has had some institutionalized understanding. Then that's a real conversation about the issue. But when you got somebody that just wanted to jump up and run because it was an opportunity and can't even tell you the population within District 7, they need to go home, sit down somewhere.
Yeah, and we would leave debates, and there were these debate polls and ratings that would come back. We would know I delivered real answers, real answers that would be measurable, right? To give accountability to the constituents, to say, hey, she said she was going to be able to do X, Y, and Z at this place by this point. This is the benchmark. And people were running against me who were talking about things they had done in high school. In high school, they owed the squeaky knob, or their granddaddy, picked up a piece of trash. And we were in awe of the level of sexism that still very much exists in our voter base, male and female. Right. And so I would have people often say to me, sure, you're a Democrat, you're a real Democrat, and I'm a Democrat. And so that is where I stand. That is what I believe that best explains who I am. And as a progressive Democrat, I'm going to bring my party's passion with the solution of what the people need, and we're going to mix the two together and make them something that helps increase and enhance the quality of life here in Baltimore. And so that's who I am. That's who I represent. Sexism is crazy. Many of us are still brainwashed, but I'm going to toss the question to you. Are you a member of a political party, and why? And so, of course, we know the answer, but we want you to answer for the people.
Yeah, sure. I am a member of the Democratic Party. One of the reasons why I'm a member of the Democratic Party is, one, historically, when it comes to the state of Mississippi and Fannie Lou Hamer and the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, who forced themselves to have a seat for Lyndon Baines Johnson when he was running for re-election after JFK was assassinated in Dallas several years before. And so to have the opportunity to sit down and to have a personal relationship with Fannie Lou Hamer's nephew, to have the opportunity to sit down and talk to people, like Wanda Evers, Charles Evers, to meet Medgar Evers' daughter, to talk to Bob Moses, to have an opportunity to sit down and to meet Nelson Mandela, to meet Andrew Young, to meet these people that my dad introduced me to because he was in the movement, helps me to understand the need. When you talk about the platform of the Democratic Party, there are some far left things that I don't agree with, but most of all, it is the party that looks like America. It's not just white, but it's white, it's black, Latinos, Hispanic, it's gays, and I think that when it comes to us having the ability to govern, that we can't push our religious views upon people like evangelicals do and try to force them to be one way or the other. But we have to really govern for all the people. And the Democratic Party looks like the motto that is on our nation's capital, which is E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. And so, that's a little. I can go a whole lot. Let me talk like I'm in Mississippi. I can go a whole lot farther, right? To explain that, but that is basically why I think it's important that I am a Democrat. Yep.
A quick update. Again, I'm at news.go.com. They have been extremely liberal in the things that they've covered as a news station. And so that's why I'm staying connected to them throughout this election tonight. So polls have closed in battlegrounds in Florida, Georgia, Ohio, Michigan, North Carolina, and Texas. In the weeks leading up to today, at least 100 million votes were cast. 100 million. National voters have cast 73.4% of the total votes that were counted in the general election. And Hawaii and Texas had already surpassed their 2016 total, as well as Montana, North Carolina, Georgia, New Mexico, and Nevada. And so I just want to throw that out because one thing that President Trump continued to harp on was voter suppression, that the absentee ballots and boxes were going to be removed. And then he reminded his supporters to vote on November 28th. And so, that's a litmus test, right? And so I just wanted to throw that out. We said throughout the night we would be giving some updates.
Yeah.
Do you have a question for Mr. Banks?
Yes, I do. And before my question, I just want to make a statement. You guys are tonight, whether you're listening now on a replay, please make sure that you comment. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. But I just want to thank these two lovely people that are here with me tonight for encouraging me to be more politically engaged and inclined.
You're welcome.
They continue to push me to try to make me be politically careered. That's a word.
Good word.
But I keep fighting against that.
For
now,
don't fight it.
I am just working to be a
Right.
more informed citizen. So, with that, what do you think is the most important political issue at the moment?
Mm-hmm.
That was a nice segue into my question.
It was.
You know, I think one of the most important political things at this moment is going to deal with health. I would say that, you know, to be upwards and up almost on the way to 250,000 deaths and being able, and then probably going to hit 300,000 by the time this winter going into 2021 is over. I think this pandemic is important. And I think it forces a lot of conversations that we haven't really been having. And that is, you know, disproportionate communities and access to healthcare. One of the things that we began to see was in mostly of your African American communities, especially up north and on the East Coast, that this virus was spreading a whole lot faster with disproportionate communities, and because that there was a lack of healthcare and a lot of pre-existing diseases, especially in black communities, because of diabetes, because of high blood pressure, because of asthma, because we like eating chitlins and neck bones and that type of stuff like that, but one of the things that I think that is forcing us to begin to get the attention that is necessary, specifically in the South, is, believe it or not, a lot of our disproportionate communities in Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi are white. They're white, poor people. Matter of fact, it's more poor white people in the state of Mississippi than there are poor black people. And they would rather vote against what could help them out just because of the racial tendencies that exist and that have historically been there. And so I think that when you begin to look in healthcare, and you begin to look at what has happened with COVID, that it has exposed a whole lot of stuff that now we need to deal with. And so health will be one of the most important issues. If you were to ask me number two, I would say it's going to be the Supreme Court and the power of the court, because one of the most important things that they're considering right now is the ACA, which is the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I was looking at some of the numbers, some of the demographics that have shifted from 2016. And one of the numbers was for seniors, right? So that 60, 65 and over voter base that Trump had in 2016 has shifted significantly. A number of reasons, one of them being healthcare. Another is that marginalized white, poor to lower middle class demographic. And it's so crazy because I remember sitting at the table and working for a federal government agency that identified benefits and identified health gaps then 5, 6, 7 years ago, coming out of the last recession, the recession and identifying that Medicare for all was needed, that Medicare for all was not a Black man's meal ticket, that Medicare for all made sense if it was done fair and equitably. And then what we have seen is over the last, I'm going to say 7 years, families who are making too much for Medicare, but they don't make enough for Obamacare. And so they're living in this gap of no coverage because their states refuse to increase the threshold. I think it's, they're supposed to be at like 138% Medicare threshold, and a lot of states, right? And so saying white people get sick and die from cancer, white people get sick and die from strokes and seizures and things that could be literally a pill, one pill a month for 30 days every month, but you don't have insurance. The pill may cost you $2,000 a month. You would literally have to go broke to live, and then you would ultimately die anyway, because eventually, that wouldn't work. And so let me ask you, do you think the president, that office itself, who we've had as president, has tricked the minds and hearts of our people to believe that things like Medicare for all and universal health care and even Obamacare is for just poor Black people? Do you think we're tricked in that thought process?
I do. Look, I seem to think that sometimes when he talks, he has, something that is swinging back and forth, and he's hypnotizing people to make them believe a certain way, especially when it comes to healthcare. It's almost some type of hypnosis. I mean, you can clearly see where there are disproportionate communities, not just Black, but white, especially in rural areas in Pennsylvania, Ohio, in a lot of the Midwest, Indiana, when you talk about Kansas, Colorado, on down in the New Mexico, Texas, you can clearly see where there's been an uptick. I believe Dr. Fauci said in the last briefing that I saw that, more white people were now catching this virus. And so the rhetoric that has come out of this president's mouth, which basically has equaled up to nothing, has really hypnotized people to believing that we don't need this and we don't need, and yes, you do. And I do think, and I blame Democrats somewhat for allowing the Republicans to brand the ACA as Obamacare. It's cute, I get it, but it's the Affordable Care Act. And when they said Obamacare over and over and over again, then what they were doing was they were saying you got a health care plan named after a Black man, right? Instead of just saying what it is, this is just Affordable Care Act. And dealing with people with the pre-existing, conditions and what it really deals with on face value.
Yeah, I do believe that's exactly what it was. It is a stigma. It is a brainwashing to think that anything that's about helping is about Black people. And it goes back to if citizens need to take, a knowledge test or intelligence as, to me, it lends to intelligence in people's ability to think, because when welfare and those things were created, it wasn't for us. It wasn't for Black people. And if you really did the numbers and you really did the research, which, you know, when I was in undergrad and college, all my papers was about reform, welfare reform, and all of those type of things, because, you know, anything that made it look like we were in the upper hand, or whether it was affirmative action or welfare, all these things is made to look at and say that, you know, we are the underdog. I remember I was in college. Yes, I had my first child in college, and I got daycare vouchers because, you know, I was in school and all of that. And literally, well, the caseworker said something to me. Well, you asking us to pay for your daycare? What? And so, being the intelligent young woman that I was, baby or not, first and foremost, I'm gonna need you not to talk to me that way. Second of all, my family is paying for my daycare, so why don't we say the 2 cents from their taxes that's going to my daycare vouchers? How about my mama and daddy and my whole family is paying for it and not you? Right. Thirdly, I need to speak to my social worker. Caseworker. Right. She said, I'm a poor. Yeah, like what is happening? But that is, you know, this person on the phone, and that is the process. It's like, because you were doing me a favor, but that is what people go through. That is what you deal with, and you're made to feel like we're helping you, but people don't understand that subsidy and all of those things is also about government money. It's about grants that people get. Subsidy is not just about welfare. Right. And so that 2 cents out of $1 that goes to subsidies and all of that, it's for all of those different programs. So everybody that's getting help with housing and all of that stuff, that's all under the same pot of money. Yeah. And so, yeah.
I'll give you another example of that. Here in Maryland, many of us have been fighting and advocating for a better funded school system. And most people call it the Kerwin Commission. So we fight for the Kerwin Commission. And I actually wanted to make sure I got the, because I haven't said the real name in probably a year ago. But in 2016, the Maryland legislature established the Commission on Innovation and Excellence in Education. So it's the Innovation and Excellence in Education Commission. It is not the Kerwin Commission. Kerwin, he's amazing, by the way. Britt Kerwin, shout out to him. I got to meet him samples, I believe. But Britt Kerwin was the administrator over the commission. And so they literally made it the Kerwin Commission. So now the fight and the attack is Britt. We're not attacking the Innovation and Excellence in Education Commission, because who would want to fight that? Right. So necessarily to giving the ACA the name Obamacare, racist people who just don't like him as a president or whatever, or had an issue with him, are going to fight it based on the name. And so with that being said, I have one last question and then I'm done for the night. Y'all can do what y'all want to do. This is a pivotal question. Donald Trump, President Orange himself, said, as far as the Black Americans, African Americans, he has done the most for Black people. The absolute most. Bigly, hugely the most, besides maybe Abraham Lincoln. Now, Abe called me from the other side and was like, shoot. So I can't tell you all that Abe said. But do you agree that done the most for African American people?
All right, so I look. Let me tell you what I do hate. I hate the fact that he did do more as far as policy is concerned. Did y'all hear me?
Come on, be what you said. No, come on, be honest, say what you said.
Yeah, as far as what politics goes, I mean, I think we have to open our eyes to understand this, because he was being framed and pushed in the corner as a racist. He had to do something, and so it is fact, you know, that he has, as far as from a policy end, did an executive order to give more money to HBCUs than any other president in living history. And that money that he gave to HBCUs that are on the verge of closing, will now be able to be open for an extra 10 years. When it comes to criminal justice reform, he was the only president that really did something and passed a bill for criminal justice reform, and part of it deals with decriminalizing marijuana. You know, and so there are some policy things that I think that he focused on and intentionally did, all because of how he was framed. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that has to be a real conversation, because even when we look at Barack Obama, and I love him, I love Barack, I love him. Barack was more so trying to prove to the other side that I'm not just this pro-black figure. I can fit and I can be accepted. You know what I'm saying? And then if we really look at it and ask the question, and if you go around and say, what did Barack Obama do for black folks? What bill did Barack Obama pass that gave money to HBCUs? You know, and you know, so I think that we have to, you know, look at it and understand that that if Tory, you know, when you win and become mayor of Baltimore, I said it, that there will be people that say, well, Tory only want to do stuff for women. And if people start trying to brand you as the person that will only do something for women, then you would do something intentionally to reach out to do something for the males. And that's not saying that someone is in the right place as far as their heart concerned. That just means Donald Trump knows how to be, one, an entertainer, and he's learned how to play some politics.
So I threw that out intentionally, and I'm gonna tell you why. All of those things are true as far as what policies he has passed in the favor of African Americans. But for those of us, you know, I'm a history buff, right? We also know that there was some political irony there, and some poetry, and some hyperbole, and all of those things, that he compared himself to Abraham Lincoln, who only freed the slaves as a war tactic, as a maneuver. And so what happens is we still are very emotional in our responses to what he is saying, right? It's no different than the Proud Boycott statement. What do you want me to say? How you want me to say? You want me to say, okay, stand back and stand back? Right. He is maybe a lot of things, but stupid he is not. And so for him to say, I've done more than any other president, maybe besides Abraham Lincoln, because Abraham Lincoln freed y'all, but Abraham freed us because he had the best interest of blacks in mind. Right. He actually freed us, right, to win the war and send us back to Africa or wherever they were going to send us. And so I'm grateful that you didn't huck and shuck around it. Call it what it is. I went to HBCU, so did Kiana.
Yeah, he freed us so he can call us. No, she's freed us to call us niggas at the same time. No, he freed us to call us niggas at the same time. That's what Abraham did. You know, he's like, I'm a freedom niggas, but they still niggas. And you know, I want to win this war because I can't afford to lose here's the real thing. I can't afford to lose the agricultural economy that's coming out of the South.
Facts. Absolutely. Facts. So thank you for up to date, real time. Joe Biden is at 119 for the Electoral College vote. Donald Trump is at 92. We're gonna continue to pray. Yeah. So guys, listen, Aaron, tell us, where can we find you?
Well, look, of course you can find me on my Facebook page, which is hold on, I forget it myself sometime, which is Aaron B. Banks, Councilman Ward 6, Jackson, Mississippi. And you know, you could just hit me up on Facebook, Aaron B. Banks, Instagram, Twitter. I do a little bit of all of it. And you can also go to my website, www.voteaaronbanks. I do have an election coming up in April of 21. And, you know, we're going to follow the Lord and see what the Lord says. As far as...
Listen, I am flying. You have this national night, national TV. I am flying there to work the polls for you. It's like World War isn't happening there. In April 2021. You just send me the date so I can block it and book it now. Be there. I'm so excited. We'll be there to work the polls for you. You definitely deserve to be reelected in that seat, in that role. And we prayed for you, and we knew that God was going to do something extremely out of this world for you because of how great you were to us. So we just trust him that when you become mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, there's some crab cakes on the menu at the dinner.
Absolutely. And so we want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. We knew that you would come with the information and the knowledge. We've learned so much ourselves from you and working with you. And so we appreciate you being on the Connected Corner tonight. And so for anybody that's watching now, live replay, still comment, still share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and join us where you can get news and resources you can
actually use, guys. Join it at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherever you are. Make sure you're in Eastern Standard Time. If you're in Texas at 7 p.m. your time, if you're in California, what is that, 5 p.m.?
5 p.m.
5 p.m. your time. If you're in Mississippi, you're always on time. So make sure you are joining us every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Tori Rose. Please connect with me on Instagram or Facebook at Tori Rose or Tori Rose the Connector. And
Kiana B. Jones, and I am Kiana B. Jones.
Awesome.
Facebook, Twitter.
It's been real. Y'all have an amazing night. Be safe, stay prayed up, and find your Lysol. Love you guys. It's been real. Good night.
God bless.